It's a gateway drug. It leads to homosexuality. No.
Too good to be true, bro.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Blazed and Infused. I'm your host, John Ares, and this week we are joined by a very special guest in a cannabinoid flower by the name of Acapulco Gold. And if in case you're wondering where my co-host is, we tried to get her here. She was here. Something happened. Bada bing, bada boom. Long story short, she couldn't be here. I'm sorry. Hopefully next week or the week after, we will see Jamie back on the program, but the show must go on. So ladies and gentlemen, this week we are featuring Acapulco Gold. I've only smoked this once before in my life. I remember it being instantaneously rocketing to the top of my all-time favorite sativas until Red Congolese, the 80-20 sativa Red Congolese, ended up dethroning it. So it's been about 5 or 6 years since I tried Acapulco Gold. It doesn't come around too often. Not too many companies grow it because it is temperamental to growing indoors. It likes to be outside like me. Let's get to it. It is currently packed into my bowl. I have not smoked yet today, so everything is crystal clear. Palate reset. Hopefully you guys got something packed in your bowl so you can follow along and descend in the madness with me. Here we go, everybody. First hit of the day, first hit in years of Acapulco Gold. Ooh. Let's pull up the stats immediately for Acapulco Gold, everybody. This one was grown indoors. Some people have been able to perfect the process of growing it indoors, but like I said, it's not the easiest strain to grow indoors. It likes to be outdoors. It is an 80-20 sativa dominant blend with THC levels testing out at about 24% average. In the mid, range of that, but trust me, you're not going to give a shit. As far as the parents go, you can compare this strain to be a lot like, I don't know, Superman, Jon Snow. They don't know who the parents are. They really don't. It's not Sally, it's not Billy, it's not holy shit, I'm fucking high, whatever the strain name is. They don't know. I think it's an ancient, some kind of ancient landrace strain, that bred with another strain and bedeep, and I think it goes back even to the time of Jesus. I think this might have been one of his favorite go-to buds. So there you go. I think this is what they had for dessert at the Last Supper. Oh my God, that's blasphemous. Why would it be? Didn't Jesus and God put everything on this earth? They put weed here. I think this is what they intended us to do with it. I don't know about you. All right, everybody, let's get further down into the details. The flavor of what I'm tasting is of citrus, cream, pine, sweet, and wood. Some people claim that they can taste coffee. I can taste coffee when I drink it. Do I taste coffee in this? No. But, I don't know. Maybe if it was grown in soil that had coffee there before, maybe it would absorb some of that depending on the part of the world. But, no, I don't think any coffee came anywhere near this besides for somebody at, a dispensary that might have been drinking a cup of coffee and trimming some buds. That's about as close as this shit has ever come to coffee. The aroma follows a similar profile, minus the coffee. It's earthy, it's piney, it's sweet, and it's very pungent. You pop the top open on this, and the entire neighborhood is going to know that you have marijuana, so just be careful. The effects on this stuff is going to be, first and foremost, it's going to give you a boner. If you've never had one before, well, hey, it's about time you learned, right? So arousal is going to be a big thing on this, apparently, and that's great. You know, you're not going to need any more Blue Chew or any more of that fucking make my dick hard. I swear to God, if they were working on a cure for this, that, or the other fucking thing as hard as they've been working on keeping your boner hard for longer or getting one, we would be a lot better off as a society. It's also going to make you creative, talkative, euphoric, happy, and all that other good, feel-good stuff. It's going to relieve symptoms of any of you guys that suffer from medical conditions that give you shit to deal with, like arthritis, chronic pain, depression, fatigue, migraines, that's a good one. Holy shit, migraines. Nausea, PTSD, stress, and of course, limp dick. Speaking of dicks, everybody, I'm thinking about getting into cockfighting. I know it sounds cruel to fight with cocks. And I'm not talking about the chickens or the roosters or the hens or the... Dude, I don't know what makes one different than the other. Is it a personality thing? Is it because one's male and one's female? Why can't we just say, you know, the female, the male? We got to call it a hen or a fucking cunt, whatever the fuck. I don't know what they're calling this shit, but no, not that kind of cockfighting. For some reason, my unhinged brain just pictured like two men with their actual swords out, like fighting each other, like slapping each other in the dick with their dick. You know, that kind of cockfighting, you know? And I think mine could win a couple rounds, you know? It's a lot like Mike Tyson. It's taken a lot of beatings over the years, you know, so it can definitely hang in there with the best of them. You know, but, you know, of course it would never be able to stand up to somebody like Mike Tyson. But the idea of choking a chicken gave me an idea for a new chicken restaurant. Everybody loves chicken, right? You guys ever been to a seafood restaurant where you can, like, honey boo-boo it?
I'm only 6 and I've already had 3 heart attacks, girlfriend.
And what I mean by honey boo-boo, I mean like when Honey Boo Boo needed a new heart and they were going to give her a heart of a pig, she basically went to a pig farm and she initially picked out a pig to get the heart from, and then one of the pigs looked at her funny, and she's like, nah, fuck that, I want that one. And that's the pig that ended up dying for Honey Boo Boo. You can do that when you go to a seafood restaurant. You walk in there, you see an octopus or a manta ray or some shrimp or, a lobster. You can be like, that's the fucker that I want to boil tonight, and you can have it for supper. I was like, well, why don't we do that for chickens? Just follow along with me, right? So basically, you come into my chicken shop, and your chicken that you pick out, your live chicken, is going to fight another live chicken that another customer picked out. And then while they're beating each other, while they're beating each other to death, they're going to tenderize themselves. Tenderized chicken is obviously better to eat, so they'll both be tenderized, and then eventually they'll both die because they're beating the shit out of each other for our entertainment and then eventually our consumption. And then once they're done, they throw them in the deep fryer, and we got a bucket of chicken a little while longer. I mean, it's a whole process. And even though it sounds repulsive and toxic and all that other shit, lighten up. This is what this stuff is for, right? I think it's a good idea. I think it could possibly marketable. Another thing you could market is Florida. Florida is literally another universe. They say on the 7th or 8th day, God rested. But before he did, he squatted over the side of Georgia, and what came out of him was Florida. It's an interesting place. You know, I've been. It's got some cool parts, but a lot of odd, weird shit happens. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because they're in the Bermuda Triangle, if that's even a thing. It is a thing, John. There's ley lines and energy. Yeah, I get it. Is that why people ride alligators through McDonald's drive-thrus? Dude, a guy recently jumped into a gator-infested whatever the fuck it was because he dropped his vape in there. You can't make this shit up, just like this isn't made up. A Florida guy was recently arrested for animal cruelty because he took a skunk and put it through a wood chipper. Like the guy was reenacting Fargo. And when he was asked why he would do this to a skunk, they thought for sure he was going to be like, well, they fucking smell like shit, or, they're always in my trash, or knocking over this, that, and the other thing, fucking my cat. I don't know what these things do. Pepe Le Pew. No, the guy chopped up a skunk, because he thought he could smoke it because that smells a lot like weed. Only in Florida, ladies and gentlemen, only in Florida. And speaking of only in Florida, not only in Florida, well, I think Florida, you can only get bud if you have a marijuana card. Doctor, I got a toenail that's ingrown. Here's a script. I hope they're like that down there, man. I can't believe. I thought Florida was a red state or a blue state. No, the reason it probably didn't get go through, Florida recently voted on whether they wanted recreational marijuana, and they said no, which means it must be a right-leaning state. I don't know what it is with right-wing voters and being anti-marijuana. That's another thing I could study till the dawn of time. Never understand it for as long as I live. It's a gateway drug. It leads to homosexuality. No. It leads me to go grab a box of ho-hos. That's about all it does. You know, I go drink a 12-pack and I'm going to go smack a hoe. Okay? That's the difference between alcohol and weed. It's really that fucking simple. So, a quick update on the marijuana is it's a good time. Acapulco Gold is dude, if you could see my legs, they're doing this. If I was underwater, I would probably be above it, like I'm floating on a magic carpet. Fucking crazy. So yeah, it completely overloads you with a ton of energy without making you feel like panicky or like anxiety or any of that. It's very smooth in that sense, but there is definitely no indica to be found on this one. It is just pure sativa, but it's smooth, like I said, and it gives you all the benefits that you want out of like a sativa, like feeling really energized. Like you aren't going to want to lay down after this shit. So this is a great strain, absolutely, if you don't want to feel tired in the least bit after you smoke it. And that's what I personally love the most about sativas. Guys, something that's crazy, right? Here's what's crazy. There's this new, somebody opened up, I don't know, guys, like, what am I trying to say? There's this old house with Bob Vila. Hi, I'm Bob Vila. No, there's this old house around here that's evidently got something to do with a group of people. And it's historical, I guess. And somebody bought it and they're opening it up as a tourist attraction for, one reason or another. And I drive by it quite a bit, and it's got a brand new sign to advertise its grand opening and all this shit. And you wouldn't believe what these guys named this museum or house that you can tour. They call it the Indian House. Do you guys realize that is legitimately the equivalent of opening up like slave sleeping quarters at a plantation and calling it the N-word house? Opening up a Holocaust house and calling it the have one for Asian people, call it the Oriental House. Guys, maybe it's because these people have been ignored and their land has been stolen from them and nobody seems to ever pay attention. But let me just give you guys a quick, real update, because unlike a lot of other white people, I have friends of different colors and races. I'm just kidding. But no, more people do need to hang out with people outside their race, guys. I mean, it's just getting wild. Everybody misses a little bit of information and we just start sharing with each other. But no, I have friends of that persuasion, and let me tell you something. You do not want to say the I word, okay? That is their I word, okay? You don't want to say Indian. I have a pass because, I have 1% Native American in me, just like Elizabeth Warren. Holy shit. No, anyways, yeah. You don't call them Indian. That literally is a racial slur. And then the other bad thing, don't call them Native American. Are they native to this land? Yes. Do they have anything to do with America? No. As a matter of fact, if they had their way, there wouldn't be an America. All right? What they prefer is indigenous or indigenous people. You know, that's the way to say it. You don't. Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy when you drive by a house that just blatantly says, hey, come on into the fucking Indian house and visit our store next door, the slanty-eyed motherfuckers who can't drive house. What is this, the Deep South? Last I checked, it wasn't. Holy shit. But, I mean, talk about just being fucking tone deaf, man. Another thing that's completely deaf to me is the understanding of people who go on safari. Have you guys ever seen these like videos of like a zebra getting its balls licked by like a giraffe or whatever in the Mara River, in Africa? You got people that pay $10,000, $20,000, $25,000 to go to these African safaris, and they get freaked out when they see nature. You know, when you got a gazelle that gets its face bitten off by a giraffe, they're all like, oh my God, can you believe it? The horror. I had no idea. Dude, are you serious? Did you really think going to Africa and seeing the wildlife was like going to be going to a zoo, or like it was the Lion King? Like Simba's going to come down out of the mountains holding hands with a pelican, and everyone's singing fucking Kumbaya, Finding Nemo pops out of the water. When you go diving, do you think it's going to be the Little Mermaid? I mean, what every clip I see on YouTube, there's a woman in the background going, oh my God, I can't believe it. Dude, if you go on a safari, there's a good chance that you're going to see a hyena crawl out of the ass of a rhinoceros that's still alive, because it's been eating it from the inside out. That's just one of the common things you'll see. You ever seen the one where the zebra gets its entire face bitten off and it's like head twisted around like it was The Exorcist? That's a good one. These are the things I do in my spare time, people. Lucky, I don't. Yeah, you have spare time? Yeah, I do have spare time. I try not to overload my life. Well, isn't that just convenient? Yeah, it is, actually. Not all of my life is convenient, but that part kind of is. Guys, if you've ever been in the woods or near the woods like I have recently, and you went to take a big sniff of the fresh air or whatever the fuck, and it smelled like Peter North just dropped a hot load on your upper lip, you're not alone. You're not alone. When we were kids, middle school and shit, back in the 80s, when your parents would spray you down with the hose and tell you to go into the woods till the street lights came on, yeah, we spent our whole youth out in the woods. And every now and then, we would run into a part of the woods that smelled like, there was an orgy that just had happened. And of course, there was always some kids in the group that had to be your classic 80s homophobic and be like, oh my God, you guys know what the smell of cum smells like? Oh, you guys are homo. Dude, come on. Everybody knows what the smell of that shit smells like. Come on. It's not fucking, my God, let's be adults here. Come on. Yeah, it is a natural phenomenon. You will go into the woods sometimes in certain parts of the world and smell that exact fucking smell, and you'll be like, what in the fuck is that? It's actually a tree. It's a real tree called a calorie pear tree, often called the Bradford pear. And during the spring and even early summer, it will emit a pungent musky odor that many people compare to Ron Jeremy's balls. No, they smell even better than that. I'm just guessing. Have you ever seen Ron Jeremy? Yeah. You can just imagine what that guy smells like, even after a shower. Dude, I've smelled people, I think. Or maybe I've just imagined people that just, even when they get out of the shower, they probably missed like one or two rolls that they forgot to pick up, and there's this like bacteria growing in there, like your belly button and shit. Guys, I.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Rockin' in the free world. All right, can I say something about something that just made me think of Neil Young without it getting political? I'm not taking anyone's side here. I'm just somebody sitting in the sideline just making an observation, okay? Do you remember Neil Young during the COVID pandemic got so angry at Joe Rogan for not taking the Fauci ouchie and actually taking ivermectin, which, yes, can be used in worms or horses to deworm them, or worms to deworm them from horses, whatever it's used for. Ivermectin is something that boosts the immune system in humans too. So anyways, can you imagine being an old grumpy fuck like Neil Young to be that much of a child to pull his entire music collection off of Spotify just because Joe Rogan's show is on Spotify and Joe Rogan didn't want to take the vaccine? Seriously. Like, let's say one of you out there is an inventor of a product or whatever, and your product is in stores with a product that where Kid Young has a product, and Kid Young is friends with Trump. Are you gonna not allow your product in that store because Kid Rock has a product? It just again, not trying to make this political, but it doesn't make sense, and things that don't make sense fascinate me. What makes sense is the weed. I know I know why it's here. I know it's great. I mean, everything about it I can quantify. Everything here, I just can't quantify. Ladies and gentlemen, this might seem like an odd statement, but I've run out of seemingly intelligent things to say. So I'm going to pull up and just wrap it up right here and then. What can I say that hasn't been already said about one of the best sativas that you can find on the planet, which is Acapulco Gold? It is full throttle sativa, no indica to be found, and it is very smooth. It's very linear. I don't know how you can describe it. Other high-potency sativas can make it jittery and, just take you on a really bumpy ride. This thing is just smooth from start to finish. It's just smooth. It's a smooth, high-end sativa that just doesn't really have any rough edges for me. And that's why it's just so freaking great. Of course, sometimes you want the stuff that takes you to the edge of your seat, because sometimes a little bit of anxiety and, feeling like you're, smoking for the first time can be fun with some of those crazy sativas. But, this one is real more in the safe zone. Real smooth, despite it being an 80-20 sativa dominant blend. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Blazed Infused. Hopefully next time, on the next episode, we will have our fearless co-host back. Until then, everybody, I hope you're having a great summer, and if you guys could do me a huge favor and hit that like button for us, make sure you, if you can leave a comment and share the video, that would be even better to help us out, and, make sure you're subscribed and notifications and all that kind of stuff, and that would be fantastic, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you again real time soon. I can't speak. I hope to see you again soon, everybody, on the next episode. Until then, I hope you're doing real well, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I saw your face displayed upon a crescent moon that wavers up and down depending how the petals bloom. Doomed, always destitute, fused through infected roots, searching for a message, but there's nowhere left to exit to. Heart full of vestibule scars, show I'm resolute. Why seek a resolution? Narcosis, heaven sent.